Vertumnus and Pomona. Ovid's Metamorphoses Book 14 v. 623-771. Alexander Pope. The fair Pomona flourished in his reign. Of all the virgins of the sylvan train, none taught the trees a nobler race to bear, or more improved the vegetable care. To her the shady grove, the flowery field, the streams and fountains, no delights could yield. 'Twas all her joy the ripening fruits to tend, and see the boughs with happy burthens bent. The hook she bore instead of Cynthia's spear, to lop the growth of the luxuriant year, to decent form the lawless shoots to bring, and teach disobedient branches where to spring. Now the cleft rind inserted grafts receives, and yields an offspring more than nature gives. Now sliding streams the thirsty plants renew, and feed their fibers with reviving dew. These cares alone her virgin breast employ, a verse from Venus and the nuptial joy. Her private orchards, walled on every side, to lawless sylvans all access denied. How oft the satyrs and the wanton fawns, who haunt the forests, or frequent the lawns, the god whose ensign scares the birds of prey, and old Silenus, youthful in decay, employed their wiles, and unavailing care, to pass the fences, and surprise the fair. Like these, Vertumnus owned his faithful flame, like these, rejected by the scornful dame. To gain her sight 1,000 forms he wears, and first a reaper from the field appears, sweating he walks, while loads of golden grain o'ercharge the shoulders of the seeming swain. Oft o'er his back a crooked scythe is laid, and wreaths of hay his sunburnt temples shade. Oft in his hardened hand a goad he bears, like one who late eunuched the sweating steers. Sometimes his pruning hook corrects the vines, and the loose stragglers to their ranks confines. Now gathering what the bounteous year allows, he pulls ripe apples from the bending boughs. A soldier now, he with his sword appears. A fisher next, his trembling angle bears. Each shape he varies, and each art he tries, on her bright charms to feast his longing eyes. A female form at last Vertumnus wears, with all the marks of reverend age appears, his temples thinly spread with silver hairs. Propped on his staff, and stooping as he goes, a painted mitre shades his furrowed brows. The god in this decrepit form arrayed, the gardens entered, and the fruits surveyed, and in quo. Happy you. Ampersand quo. He thus addressed the maid, Ampersand quo. Whose charms as far all other nymphs outshine, Ampersand quo. As other gardens are excelled by thine. Ampersand quo. Then kissed the fair. His kisses warmer grow than such as women on their sex bestow. Then placked beside her on the flowery ground, beheld the trees with autumn's bounty crowned. An elm was near, to whose embraces led, the curling vine her swelling clusters spread. He viewed her twining branches with delight, and prayed the beauty of the pleasing sight. Ampersand quo. Yet this tall elm, but for his vine and quo, he said, Ampersand quo, had stood neglected, and a barren shade. And this fair vine, but that her arms surround her married elm, had crept along the ground. Ah, beauteous maid, let this example move your mind, a verse from all the joys of love. Deem to be loved, and every heart subdue. What nymph could e'er attract such crowds as you? Not she whose beauty urged the centaur's arms, Ulysses' queen, nor Helen's fatal charms. Even now, when silent scorn is all they gain, 1,000 court you, though they court in vain, 1,000 sylvans, demigods, and gods, that haunt our mountains and our Alban woods. But if you'll prosper, mark what I advise, whom age, and long experience render wise, and one whose tender care is far above all that these lovers ever felt of love, far more than e'er can by yourself be guessed. Fix on Vertumnus, and reject the rest. For his firm faith I dare engage my own. Scarce to himself is better known. To distant lands Vertumnus never roves, like you contented with his native groves. Nor at first sight, like most, admires the fair. For you he lives, and you alone shall share his last affection, as his early care. Besides, he's lovely far above the rest, with youth immortal, and with beauty blessed. Add, that he varies every shape with ease, and tries all forms that may Pomona please. But what should most excite a mutual flame, your rural cares, and pleasures are the same. To him your orchard's early fruits are due, a pleasing offering when 'tis made by you. He values these, but yet, alas, complains, that still the best and dearest gift remains. Not the fair fruit that onion branches close with that ripe bread this autumnal sun bestows. Nor tasteful herbs that in these gardens rise, which the kind soil with milky sap supplies. You, only you, can move the gods' desire, O crown so constant and so pure a fire. Let soft compassion touch your gentle mind. Think, 'tis Vertumnus begs you to be kind. So may no frost, when early buds appear, destroy the promise of the youthful year. Nor winds, when first your florid orchard blows, shake the light blossoms from their blasted boughs. Ampersand quo. This when the various god had urged in vain, he straight assumed his native form again. Such, and so bright an aspect now he bears, as when through clouds this emerging sun appears, and thence exerting his refulgent ray, dispels the darkness, and reveals the day. Force he prepart, but checked the rash design. For when, appearing in a form divine, the nymph surveys him, and beholds the grace of charming features, and a youthful face, in her soft breast consenting passions move, and the warm maid confessed a mutual love.